Kevin. Hi. Oh, good. Okay. It's working. All right. All this is screen working?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So we have people online and in person, and welcome. I have to take a deep breath because technology was kicking my ass just now. So I want to say hi to Tatamanins, thank you, and Tansi, hello, and you, good afternoon, or actually good evening, you, to post it. We are here today to talk about a really important topic, which is near and dear to all of the people that work at GPAS and all of the volunteers that work with us regularly. Many of whom are here today because we're having a special work week. So I just want to give a quick shout out to, geez, I think about 10, we got 12 people, or more than that, sometimes up to 20 that have been here this week. And they've been working really, really hard. I mean, doing hard work like putting in fence posts, gutting houses, carrying heavy things, and you know, they don't complain, and like we feel so lucky to have them in our lives. And so this panel is for them actually. I wanted to make sure we had it for our volunteers when we came, because I know that they're really interested in learning more about ReMatriation and hearing about it from our perspective, and in also in response to this resilience hub that we're building and growing here. So today we are going to have a panel with some wonderful people. Anthony Warrior, who's over there, he's our chef. We're going to talk about First Foods and that stuff. And we got Cruz Garcia, who is one of the co-founders of Loud Leaders and a professor of architecture at Iowa State University. Kind of scary. And Tamara is working with the city right now and doing wonderful things on behalf of the city, and as well as on behalf of her own business called Empowered Solutions to help us succeed. So we'll be talking about all that, like all this wonderful stuff in a little bit. Right now we're going to take a break to some wonderful food, First Foods, cooked by our chef over here, and then we'll get back to the panel discussion afterwards. So thank you, everybody, and those online come back at 7 o'clock. So I'm going to pass it over to Anthony to say a few words.
I want to say thank you guys for coming out on this evening. We could have been doing other things like chasing tornadoes. For our eastern folks here that have never been in a tornado warning, it was quite alarming to see your eyes and take off running. But in Oklahoma, we have a long chair and an ice chest, and we run outside and watch it. So in our people, we call those grandpas, and they come through and they make their way to kind of clear out our spaces for us. So everything has a purpose and everything has a reason. But I'm glad you made it this evening. The sunshine is out now. The rain, much needed rain, is here, and we're in a joyous time of year where planting and celebration is key in Oklahoma, I just got word that we're starting our talks for having our spring dances here pretty soon. And usually we wait for that mother to tell us when it's time to start celebrating, when she's awake. And with our efforts here amongst this food pathways, we talk about the rematriation. We talk about returning to the mother. We talk about coming back to our mother's sustenance and being connected back to our Mother Earth. And for so long, including most of us that were born in the 70s and 60s, we know that convenience era has taken over our ways of alignment with life. Convenience, that fast-paced life, trying to provide for our families, has taken us away from something that's so crucial, and that's right outside, that Mother Earth, that medicine, that food that's been offered, that's been passed down for centuries. And here in our lands, in the Americas, we celebrate that. We don't have per se church, if you want to say that term. Right out here is our sacredness. And wherever you put words in the ground, wherever you put your hands and your family's prayers into that ground, that's sacred ground. And we believe that. And I brought my new mother with me. She's on my table back here. And being able to understand today, at this time, this food that you have on your table was provided by her from last year. This is stuff we have to sustain. And in our ways of life, we don't eat when she can't give it to us. We don't eat out of season. We have to wait for feast. We have to wait until she gives it to us. In today's convenience, you can get anything, and we know what that's doing to our communities. And we know what it's doing to our world here, our mother here, where we're pulling from her when she can't give that much. And so waiting for her to feed us, to sustain us, that's the important thing that we celebrate. When we do our spring ceremonies, many of our songs, many of our ways of life are that reciprocity, that coming of season. We talk about the fertility. We say a prayer from the stars all the way into the earth. And in the fall time, we take that prayer back out of the earth and we send it back to the stars, to our people over there, and tell them thank you. It's a thankfulness. It's a faith and believing that they're going to give us another year to sustain ourselves, to take care of our families. And for us to forget that, for us to pull ourselves away from that, we lost. What's that?
We're going to talk a little on the panel.
Oh, okay.
Can you break that?
So this evening, for your meal, we've had a really wonderful forager here at Ren. We've got some really good connections, and this is a. We have a local fisherman that provided the steelhead for this evening, and that's been wood fired. And we have some beautiful ramps and some arugula that she was out in the woods facing all the detriment. She was out there all alone. It was dangerous. But she brought you these ramps back. So you got that, and she's got some wild garlic, and it's got a vinaigrette on it. So that's going to be for your first dish. Your second dish is my grandmother's Muskogee Creek. I'm going to have an ash-washed hominy corn. That corn is a Mayan corn from Omaha. The Mayans, I work with them. And so they give me their corn. So that softy with those anasazi beans, that's a rematriated bean that was put back into the earth. So you're going to have that dish next. And then the third dish is another local forage too. Happy ducks, is that what you said, Brandon? She was out there talking to these ducks, and they gave her eggs. So you're going to have the wild garlic and onions in a Muskogee Creek dish. And she also had a local mushroom vendor that brought us some beautiful mushrooms. And you can see them on the table there. Some chestnuts and some blue oyster. So those are made into that dish. Just a little bit will take you a long way, so just so you know, all right? So, but in the springtime, the Muskogees wait for this time of year when the spring onions are ready, and they know that's the first offering from the mother. And they have wild onion feast all over Oklahoma. So that's going to be your third dish. And then your fourth dish right there is the little Lakota squash that I've roasted, and it's filled with wild rice, maple syrup, and some wild berries, or some berries that we have. And your last dish is a ponca blue corn. That's the last of my blue corn till this year. So you guys are getting the last of it, all right? So that ponca blue corn pudding, and then some maple toasted walnuts. So that's your offering for this evening. I want you to know, feeling your food, we say Midwala Tomoko means enjoy that, enjoy that. So whenever you come and you feel that food, you know you're eating where we're supposed to be connected to that earth. So that table tells a story. So without further ado, we'll get it started here, and then we'll get you guys on your way this evening. So we'll say a few words. So, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for this spring weather. We thank you for this time of rain, this time of sunshine. We ask that you continue to be with each and every one of our people that are rejoicing at this new year that they brought upon us. We pray for our Mother Earth and all these offerings she has for us, these medicines, these wild foods, all this growing, this energy that she feels below us. We ask that you continue to bless us in that way. Let us feel that go through our bodies and our conversations this evening. Let us pass on this education, these call for action. Let's take these seeds and let's plant them and carry them on in those time of need and be able to distribute them where it's needed. We pray for all those today that traveled long distance to be here with us to hear these words. We pray for those that are online here, wherever you may be. We ask that you continue to bless this food, bless these offerings, and be able to continue us many more years in advance. We pray for the people across this Turtle Island that are preparing for the spring planting, these spring ceremonies. We ask that you be in their hearts and their families. We pray for all those that are mourning in our community. Let them understand that pathway of life that's been bestowed upon us. Things they may not understand. Give them that comfort in their heart and in their minds. And once again, we thank you for all these beautiful children within earshot and learning these ways, hearing about this importance of this nutrition of these offerings into our ways and in our hearts and in our minds and our souls. And once again, we thank you for the opportunity to come here and spread this knowledge upon this sacred land, putting prayers into this ground here. We ask for many more years of fruition out of this healing, of education, and of action. Once again, we thank you for this opportunity. We ask that you continue to keep us all in your prayers. We ask all these things. All right, everybody. Elders first. If you don't want to be an elder, sit down. So, then they go. Everybody eat. Last thing over here in the little juice jar is our toasted corn, cinnamon, and maple or honey tea. I think half of the people here had it last night. So we might get them before they do. You're a huge part of it.
All right. Everybody hear me? We're back. So our hope is that we can continue the panel while you enjoy your meal.
Are you getting them?
We don't want to be here until 10 o'clock at night.
Can we move the table with the microphone here?
Somebody had the idea of moving the panel over to the food table.
Sure.
I don't know if folks at home can see what we're eating, but it's really beautiful food. Thank you so much, Anthony. So my panelists are all doing something at the moment, either eating or working. So I'm just going to start off by saying thank you for coming. This event is sponsored and hosted by Great Plains Action Society. If you are right now in the very beginning of our Resilience and Innovation Hub, our Indigenous-Led Urban Resilience and Innovation Hub. And this is the large building that will serve as a gathering space and for classrooms and all the things that we'll be doing. And next door will be, unfortunately, a parking lot that the city is making us put in. But hopefully we'll have a living roof on top of it. And so we can do interesting things with that. And then we have some more houses over here and buildings that will be offices, a healing justice space, a mutual aid cafe, entrepreneurial incubators, and then the heart of everything, which will be our mutual aid garden, which our volunteers today lovingly put the beginning of a fence around so we can keep out the deers and the crows. So I don't know if you know what I mean. Oh, you have to live here to understand when I say crows. So destructive people running around at night. And so we are going to talk about rematriation in urban spaces and how we can make change and push back at Christian colonial capitalism through spaces like this, through building, with different aspects of that, like through academia, First Foods, by working with the city and through healing. And so all of our guests here are specialists in those different aspects of this work, and they're going to provide us with a lot of interesting things to think about and talk about. So what I just want to start off by saying is these spots are really important. And you might think that there's a lot of these kinds of spots around, because you'll think of like maybe like a recreation center that your city puts up, or I don't know, like a gym or something, right? But like, this is not that kind of place. Like this is something that focuses on justice, and the work that we do here is Indigenous-Led, and it is for everybody, but it is Indigenous-Led, and it's focused on uplifting and empowering the oppressed, BIPOC people, Two-Spirit LGBTQ people, disabled people, women, but everybody takes part. This is also a place of solidarity, and this is a place where we're building power through a brick and mortar space, like through actual space. Land has become real estate. Real estate has become the most powerful thing in the world, and guess what? Black and brown people have none of it. 96 to 98% of the land in this country is owned by white people. They make up 65% of the population here, and they hold 85% of the wealth. And when you think about, expanding yourself, expanding your mind and your body, and not being constricted, space and the ability to be safe in it and know that you're where people care about you, love you, and will protect you makes a really big difference in how you look at the world and how you feel about yourself and everything else. So I would like to just basically pass this off to each one of the guests on the panel and ask them, about what they do as a specialty and how that relates to, rematriation, and in particular, rematriation in urban spaces like we're doing here in Iowa City. So I'll start with Bruce, maybe, or should I start with Marie? You need to Bruce? Okay, I'll start with Bruce.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everybody. So I'm here as a representative of from the Empire, right? Because I work for the Land-Grant University of the state of Iowa. And how many of you know what a land-grant university is? What is a land-grant university? Can somebody define it for me, like in a sentence?
States were given land to establish a college of agriculture to cultivate the land and take it over.
And where was that land coming from? Right? So it's really interesting, right? We were like me and Natalie teach in Iowa State, and we traveled around universities in the US. We were in Cornell University, that is a land-grant university, and we all heard of land acknowledgements. We're standing in the land of the so and so, right? So if you go to Cornell and they tell you that they're standing in the land of the people, they're telling you a fraction of the story, right? The land that was taken to make Cornell University, none of it is in New York. Only the land that is the University of Sydney, right? So as the United States in the 19th century is pushing westwards, they're taking all this land and gifting it after violent treaties to the Senate, right? To every sort of capital of every state, and these states decide what to do with the land. They sell the land, they do business with it, they create endowments that are based on the dispossession of indigenous people. Right? The difference between Cornell and Iowa State is that Cornell University stole all this land westwards of New York, right? Colorado, California, all the land taken by Iowa State is in Iowa. So technically speaking, Iowa State could return all the land without having to deal with any other state, right? So I always have the hope that it is more possible in Iowa to get land back from the university than in a place like New York, right? Because of the implications of we can dream of, right? So my work as I teach architecture in the College of Design, and I understand architecture as the material manifestation of power over land, right? Whatever we need to do that in order to achieve that, like in the case of the United States, like building cities, creating planning, building infrastructure, planning utilities, right? Like that's all in the realm of what we call architecture, right? So in a way, our job, and that's how we started collaborating with the Plains, with Anthony Warriors. How can we start to have these conversations in the university to address their colonial footprints, right? I was the biologically modified altered state in the US, second highest level of cancer. So in a way, they did it. Right? We are dying because we have created this settler colonial capitalist, extractivist relationship with the land that is destructing everything, right? So my work pretty much consists on trying things and getting politicians really interested in what we're teaching, and then trying to censor it, right? So at the moment that we do something, they come and they try to get into the class, and then we create a mechanism so it becomes more difficult for them to read what we're doing, but we try to always get the university to pay for what we're doing, right? And that's the most important thing, to get some money back into producing this type of knowledge.
I have a follow-up question just for them. how do you think hubs, like these hubs like that we're making right now, because not just others, there's other parts of the country, do you think that they could be a haven for where DEI is being taken away at universities?
So I would say that the future of education, of solidarity, of mutual aid, of survival is not going to be found in the institutions that were created by the project of settler colonialism and capitalism. Right? So whatever, I know these institutions are there, they seem inevitable, right? Because they're so big and they pay no taxes and they have all this land and all this money and all these resources, right? Our innovation lab is funded by Boeing, right? Bombs are dropping on children by the same people that are paying our tuition, scholarships and so on. That's not a model that is going to save us, right? So I think that definitely this is the future, and it's imminent. And now the trick would be how can we? I put myself there because that's my job. I work in these institutions. I decide to work there. Is how can we use whatever means we have to show how important, urgent, and inevitable these cases are. Right? At the moment, we are, fascism is always there, but these days it has no mask. Right? So we're in a time where talking about this, we get in trouble, we get fired, we get like some terrible web page, and the university will freak out. So how can we still, I love that I have former students here that were here in lab back 3 years ago, right? So the fact that we can actually engage with this in those spaces and create some sort of a consciousness to acknowledge that this is the future. Without this, there's no future. So yes, I would say this is not only needed, but we need to work towards relocating resources to make this where we are learning or we share, right? The model of the university is a colonial model.
Yeah, what I want to add to that is we think we're losing all this, we're losing so much at these universities. I know Marie can add it's very accurate. We think we're losing something so important, but DEI is just a word that white people came up with when they saw, oppressed people creating their own programs within university structures. They didn't know what to do with it, so they had to classify it with something and put some kind of cage around it, and that became what DEI is. In essence, I think that DEI going away is not, I know it's a loss because we're losing important things, but we're always going to rebuild and we're still here. We exist still. So places like this can be incubators, for more to come, I guess.
And I want to add something regarding that, just quickly, is that DEI, the Civil Rights Act that was passed, that is also being challenged right now to protect white people, right? It's kind of funny. Particularly to protect white men, right? EEOC came out saying they're basically aligning to protect all the white men that have been discriminated against. These are really important things that have been achieved. People have died for them, but they have never been the answer. Because they're still basically patches that we're making in a system that was designed, most of the people here wouldn't be able to enroll in school, in university, 4 decades ago. These are material facts. And then all of a sudden we have to protect these universities because they're basically the only thing that we think we have, right? Which I think they're also worth protecting, of course, because I think there's things that we can save from them. I'm not gonna say let's burn them all today, maybe let's wait a couple of years and then we burn them after we have taken enough out, right?
I just want to make a quick point because I feel like DEI is always, the topic of DEI always includes BIPOC folks, right? It's like DEI equates to BIPOC folks. But that's bullshit. DEI is our veterans. DEI is our elders. DEI is our disabled relatives. So women, yeah. White women are the biggest benefactor of affirmative action. Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to point that out because I think that gets forgotten. Everyone talks about vets, even on the right, they talk about vets, but then they're anti-DEI, well, that's your bad.
Yeah, and I want to add a little bit on that too, because on my way up there yesterday from Nebraska, I work in Nebraska Indian Community College, and I represent one of the 38 TCUs across the United States. And many of those TCUs have had to fight for their funding. And yesterday we got the note that this administration is now cutting the funding for the tribal colleges again because of DEI sector. And last year we won our case about what decides what DEI is, and it held it off for a bit. But these are the changing policies that keep adding in. As soon as we get smarter, they create another policy. As soon as we start educating ourselves and getting on top of things, they'll create another reason why we can't acquire that golden ring. And so right now, we're at the stakeholder right now, are we going to have colleges within this next year? And I don't know, is anybody here entrepreneur, does anybody have an 8A structure with the government? So one of the things that they just, he decided yesterday that the DEI for the 8A program, Native Forward, Women Forward, and Veteran Forward, is now coming to a stop. They're not going to bring government contracts to the people anymore. And we fought for many years to get that from the 1910 Biennium. So these policies just get created on top of them. They compound, and then we have to come up with smarter ways to interact with them. When they tell us, can you be sovereign? Can you guys create your own funding? With what? A lot of these tribal colleges are on disadvantaged lands. There's no infrastructure there. And up until COVID, many of these reservations didn't even have internet to operate classrooms. So I just want to let you know, finding these ways of life with these clauses is really, the other day I was told, can you get over it? And I think that's played out. I think that's done. We're done with it. We can't get over it. Now we're making changes. And the smarter we get, the harder they're going to fight against us. So I'm going to continue my fight and continue to push the way we need to get this, to that golden ring within reaching.
Sorry, I didn't want to stop. I was just telling you that. I'm going to go to Tamara next. I feel like a good segue into our next speaker is kind of happening right now, just because we're talking about structures and authorities, oh, you're gonna just pause it? Oh yeah, it's not good enough. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Just one second. Sorry about that. It's on the push up there. I think this one's okay, maybe we'll, oh, there you go. Oh yeah, we got it, we're fixing it.
Yeah.
I hear your voice loud and proud.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about structures, colonial structures. Of course, cities are built on colonial structures, but hubs. So here we go. Hubs are pushing back, right? Hubs are creating resistance to and/or providing alternative ways of being in the world that maybe some cities might be interested in learning about. And Iowa City has shown an interest in what we do and has been really supportive of our work. And they've hired Tamara actually to help us with our work. And I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. And so Tamara here is here with us today to talk about that work and also about the awesome work that you're doing with your own business. So I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Mr. Callis. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Sound is okay?
Yeah, good.
Yes. Okay, well, yeah, thank you. I really apologize for not being able to be there in person. I was a little worried about the weather and the drive down to Iowa City, so again, apologies for that. I'm actually very personally bummed to have missed out on definitely the community and absolutely the food, so I hope you guys will enjoy a little extra for me. So yeah, as the Callis mentioned,
Hold on, Sarah.
All right. So let's tell some jokes.
I'm following the instructions, I guess.
Yeah. Anybody? Oh yeah. Good time to get more food if anybody wants more food.
guys, also this year we're celebrating some big moments. I mean, unfortunately, the atrocities of what we currently have become a part of. We have the 150th year of Greasy Grass this year, which, to those that don't know, that's the Battle of Little Bighorn, and one of the only strategic battles that we've actually claimed to be one of the biggest winners. We also had the 212th Battle of the Red Stick Wars, which I was down in Alabama last week. Are we back?
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Finish what you're saying.
Oh, well, anyway, I wanted to also say this is the 250th year of the United States. And my shirt, I don't know if anybody's ever seen these shirts, but if you don't know your Declaration of Independence, look at the 14th line. And that's how we're described in our nation's document. So just so you guys know, it's still alive and well today. So just so you know.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Okay, all right. Sorry about that, Tamara. Please continue.
It's okay. It's okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the effort and setting the Zoom option up. I was a little worried about the weather and the storms with the drive to from Cedar Rapids and back, so apologies for not being able to be there in person. And thank you for the opportunity to join me today, at least in this format. As House mentioned, I've been hired by the City of Iowa City to help with some of the Resilience and Innovation Hub work that Great Plains Action Society is engaging in now. And I think when I was speaking with Cicalis about kind of the framing or perspective I might add to the conversation tonight, we kind of spent some time thinking about kind of the role that cities and other government entities, but really cities at a local level might play in supporting resilience hub development and why that kind of partnership and support can be so impactful. I previously to starting my own business, Empowered Solutions Collective, I spent about 4 years building out the Linn County Sustainability Department and got the opportunity in that role to work on a couple of different resilience hub models. One that was supported by the county, one that was supported by a community-based organization here in Cedar Rapids, Florida Heights Community Church, for those that might be aware of the Cedar Rapids area. And I think just looking at those two models, it was really eye-opening of how we could structure resilience hub development in a way that was actually doing what the goal was. And so for folks that might not be familiar with resilience hubs, the idea is that you're working with existing trusted community locations and organizations. Because if you think about when there are times of disruption, whether that be a collective, shared natural disaster, whether that be an individual's, personal kind of life disaster, monetary, family, mental health, physical health. When you think about those experiences and those disruptive points in time, people tend to go to the places that they trust, right? And so that might not be, for a lot of folks, for very good reason, a government building. And so, investing in these community locations and these community-based organizations like Great Plains Action Society allows, this almost decentralization of support in a way that retains the agency, the autonomy, the decision-making power within the populations that, really deserve to have that. And when they have that, actually have the impact that we as a collective community want, right? Essentially, think about the derecho. This is often an example I use of kind of the value of these kinds of locations and why Great Plains Action Society and community-based organizations are such powerful places for this work. If you have all of the response to those disruptive events centered in government, such as an emergency management agency, it's going to take a lot of time for that one kind of entity to spread out, the geographic area that it needs to. And if you look at the staff, composition, I had great partnerships with the EMA department here as well as Johnson County. But those staff, tend to be less diverse and not necessarily representative of the communities that they're responding to. And so, you can have very good intentions but cause additional harm through no fault of this individual's, own necessarily or maybe, but just because that is not inherent in the structure of those entities at this point in time. And so supporting, investing in, again, community-based organizations that have that trust, that have those relationships, that know what is needed in these disruptive times can be incredibly impactful in this goal of building greater resilience, both in our infrastructure as well as in our social networks and communities and neighborhoods.
Thank you very, hello? Dave? Hello? Hello?
Hello? Oh, that's loud. Tell me, is it too loud for you? No, okay. Thank you, Deborah. That we really appreciate you giving us that perspective, and I think it's kind of unique myself. I don't know, maybe we all come from super liberal spaces, but I guess living in Iowa for so long, I just kind of never, even for your Iowa City, you kind of feel like, whoa, like they're never going to support us. So, I'm really excited to see what can happen through the city, and we're working on a grant right now with the city and with Powered Solutions to get us some funds to build a living roof on top of where will be our regional aid cafe, and like a learning space, like a patio, with solar panels, and so. I feel like if we're working with the city to get the funds, maybe we'll be more likely to get them. Like that's honestly what I'm saying. Like, let's use these colonial structures and their familiarity with each other to like get us the money that we need to do the things we need to do to take down the colonial structures. So I guess that's what I'm saying.
That's good for the people.
Yeah, what's that?
Because that's what's good for the people.
Yeah, like it's Robin Hood-ish, right? All right. So the next person on our panel is Marie Krebs, and Marie is our Protect the Sacred director, and setting up a wonderful program here for healing justice. So I'll let you talk about that.
All right. I don't want to talk about systems. I hate systems. Western systems. Trying to get away as much as I can. I'm very grateful for all the people who are willing to work within these systems so that I cannot. No, really, because I don't want any part of it. And that's been part of my journey. ReMatriation started with my own personal healing journey. When I was a little girl, my dad moved us to Iowa, to a small, tiny little rural all-white town where me and my mom were the only non-white people there, and we dealt with some pretty bad racism. And when you're a kid, you don't understand what's going on. You just know that like everyone hates you. And then when adults don't step in, you're like, oh, something's wrong with me, right? So you internalize these messages. So I grew up in this. Luckily for me, I'm very inquisitive and I love to read, and because nobody wanted to be my friend, I read a lot of books. So that also radicalized me, just so you know. Sort of like fight. So yeah, I was always asking questions, like I didn't understand, like what is this all about? And then as I got older, I started to learn about this whole racism thing. I'm like, oh, this is what I'm enduring, So yeah, luckily for me, I was very inquisitive. I love to learn, I love knowledge, I love to read. However, knowledge doesn't equate to spiritual healing all the time. I had to get to the point where I understood that I had internalized these messages. And then as a woman, the society hates us. You can't tell me any different. The society hates women. So then I internalize all of these messages. And I'm unpacking these things. So my journey to ReMatriation was literally within myself.
it looked like a foundation of self-love. That was my first piece. Understanding that I am worthy, I am powerful, I am valuable, I'm fucking amazing, right? So it took time to get there. Nobody told me these things. I had to figure it out on my own, but I'm glad I did. And it gave a great foundation for healing, because when you have that self-love, you have a little more compassion with yourself. You have a little more compassion with some of your weaknesses and with some of your faults, because you love all of you, right? So really, to me, ReMatriation is about becoming balanced again. We're so off balance. I mean, I don't even know if I need to explain that. I think it's probably, everybody knows what's up there. We're so off balance. It's like we're literally like way on one side. We need to bring it back to the middle. And that is love. Love for yourself, love for your people, love for your community, respect for our plant relatives, for Grandmother Earth, all of these things. So through all of these years, I've had to develop a lot of like coping skills and ways to deal with dysfunction. And so I want to share that with people, which is why Ren and I will be offering some services out of our healing space, our sanctuary space. We want to have a therapy garden in the back, just a nice place for people to go and relax and to be with nature. Because, as Sakala stated, BIPOC folks with marginalized identities, we've been taken from land. We're totally taken from land. I know kids who are never allowed to play outside. They live all around concrete. So just even allowing our relatives to have a beautiful space to sit, look at our, our bird relatives, our crawling relatives, just really kind of getting back that piece of knowledge there. So reclaiming that connection with our land relative. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing else has come to my mind. It was flowing really good. Now I'm like, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, and like a medicinal herb garden, growing the food. Oh yeah, absolutely. Working with the land. Oh my goodness, that's literally like when we think of therapy. Therapy is so many things, not just talk therapy, right? My plants at home are literally therapy, just like checking on them, how are you guys doing today? Talking to them. My plants have names. I don't know about y'all, but my plants have names. So music, dancing, there's still art, there's so many forms of therapy, not just talk therapy, and we would love to incorporate a more holistic version of healing.
And holistic meaning also including a lot of Indigenous, viewpoints and ways of being in the world. And so in case you don't know who Ren is, Ren's right there. Ren's our land steward. And then also holding down this hub is Dave Whiting, who's our operations director. So, I don't know what I do about these three because, this wouldn't be here without our collective efforts, and that's important to note. Nothing can be done without a collective effort, and breaking community was what they wanted to. They broke our communities on purpose. They siloed us on purpose, and the work that Marie and Ren are going to be doing through this Healing Justice House is actually bringing people back together. A great example is this amazing event they're hosting on Thursday, and I'll let you talk about that just for a second.
Yeah, so we are going to start having community conversations. Let's have some messy talks. Let's have some real talks, okay? None of this I know nice shit. We're gonna talk about no kings on Thursday and if it's helpful. And we wanna bring people into the space, not to bicker and like yell at each other, but to literally come up with some ways to move forward together. So, we'll do it in a respectful way, but we also want it to be real. We want people to be able to say their things, and sit with it, let's marinate with it, and then we'll come back in 2 weeks, and we're gonna talk about it again after we've had some time to think, maybe do some research, look up some stuff, see what you think, and let's come back and really talk about it. So yeah, if there's like topics that people are really interested in talking about, like holler at me. There's plenty to talk about. Like we want some real action. I think a lot of people, this might be, I don't know if I can even say this, but a lot of people think like once we vote blue, we're all good. Yeah, like, no. So like, these are the things we need to talk about. Like, let's have some real conversations. Let's have some real, moving forward together.
Thank you, Marie. I want to note that our Protect the Sacred program, our initiative, has been around since we've been around for 10 years now. And it's the heart of our work has always been about ending colonial violence to Indigenous peoples. That means combating the missing and murdered Indigenous relatives crisis, right? We have the highest rates of all the things, domestic violence and it toggles between the Black community and the Native community, like police violence and then murder rates and going missing and all those things. And so that's been a huge part of our work, and we're going to continue to do that. And we are still doing it through largely Sioux City, and we're just kind of reconfiguring how we're going to continue to do that work. We have an amazing person, Brandon, that's there still, that hosts weekly or bi-weekly men's meetings, which I think is actually really important. We do have a lot of resources for women to meet and talk, and then I'm like, in the end, it's really the men that need to be doing this. Like, no offense, but the men really are the problem. And that's why we're ReMatriating, right? Like, and that's not to say that men are terrible.
They are.
Yeah, but they are. I mean, the toxic patriarchy is terrible. That's what I'm trying to say. Misogyny is terrible. And if there's one man in here, and even women, that think that they don't have some kind of ingrained misogyny after like growing up in this society, then I don't know, maybe you're perfect or something. Good for you. Because we are taught that from day one, pretty much. To kind of hate women and for all sorts of different reasons. So we're going to continue to do that, and it's very important to our work as well. I just want to say that it's and it also goes over to our Southern brothers and sisters that protect the sacred missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. That pertains to our Southern brothers and sisters. That border, that's not us, that's them, right? Like, these are still Indigenous peoples. You can get mad at me if you want, but I mean, putting the term Latino, Latina, Hispanic, and all that does not mean you're not Indigenous. You can be Latino, Latina, and also Indigenous.
Colonial concepts created in the US.
Yes, and of course.
But I know we identify with those terms, but those terms are created by empire to divide us, right? Like Latino is a geopolitical construction created by the US, right? And we can go on, down the list, of course, about how do we create these separations, right? That are artificial because they work at the service of empire. And I just wanted to add something quick, because I'm really amazed because we worked for so many months, like a year or so ago, to try to raise this money from EPA. Then EPA got imploded by the Agent Orange. And it was a brutal thing, right? Because you see this incredible work of bringing all these institutions together, thinking about how to create this hub, doing math. Like, we managed to convince our university people to do a project that was Indigenous-Led within Iowa State, so we know that it's possible, at least. It imploded, and somehow, here we are. I don't know how this happened. Some sort of good witchcraft or something. It's like the really amazing of the good one, right? The feminist, anti-colonialist, amazing work, because this is incredible, really. I am like mesmerized that you say something like a year ago and this thing is alive in it. It's incredible.
I just feel like it's important to know real quick, men are problematic and we're all problematic. And every single one of us needs to be doing our decolonization work within ourselves. That's kind of what I was talking about, right? Because even people of color internalize white supremacy. Just like I was saying, I was internalizing these things. Women are some of the fiercest enforcers of patriarchy. They can be so horrific. So we all have work to do, every single one of us. If you have, but focus on your places of privilege, maybe.
Look at Pambon.
I just want to go back to what Cruz said and say, I think, one of the most powerful, and you should remember, it's so capital, whatever, you're so capital. One of the greatest social impact investments that anybody can make is in an Indigenous woman, because she's gonna get stuff done. So, yeah, so.
I thought they were going to come to put some bricks. This thing is built already.
Well, here's the thing. Why build, like, it's to be sustainable, right? Like, you shouldn't just rip stuff down. You should build from what's there. So that's a good model. But yeah, I want to pass it on to Anthony, who is, man, I don't have words for how awesome. I think, to me, Anthony's kind of like a superhero. Like, how do you do what you do? Like, I don't know how, the food you make is just amazing. It happens so quickly, and you travel so much to do it. I mean, you came from Shawnee Reservation, which is like, what, 8 hours from here? No, it's not. It takes like 5 hours to see city. Like, all right, whatever. So it's a long way, and then he manages to cook 2 wonderful meals, and yeah.
You made breakfast.
Oh yeah, and
Spend on breakfast.
And so, and I mean, just his knowledge about First Foods, and that's how, that to me, that is at the heart of the work, is the food. Because when you think about it, the way we eat and the way our food is grown across the entire world is really the biggest problem we face. Yeah, fossil fuels a problem, right? But it's the land that's being taken away and being treated the way it's being treated in order to grow that food, and the fossil fuel that's being taken out of the ground in order to grow that food, right? Like, that's really causing the biggest problems, and that's because we think we have to eat 3 times a day and have snacks in between, and that's because we are eating all the wrong things, and that's because of just our colonial diets. They suck.
Colonialism basically started because Europeans couldn't cook. So they had to come here to get the spices and everything else.
Yeah. But they came to the wrong place. Yes. That's very true.
It's true.
They were looking for spice. They
think potatoes are European. They come from here too, but don't even get potatoes.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, all right, I'm gonna pass it over to Anthony.
All right, everybody. So I want to say thank you for the honor. I'm sitting on the panel here with these strong ladies. This is the most important thing, and I will be straight up front. I will Cruz. Me and Cruz, we've sat on these panels before with these ladies, and we always walk away with different perspectives. So kudos. I will say this up front, disclosure, I am a mama's boy. I'm the oldest out of 4 brothers and the smallest. And guess what? When I'm in trouble, it's mama. Mama this, mama that. So I have to tell you, my heart's buried. And if I wouldn't have been in this position if it wasn't for my mother. So she's still alive and well. She still does good. And she's the biggest 6-foot Lakota woman you ever meet. Don't mess with her. Gordon Ramsay had nothing on her. Okay? In the kitchen, her favorite line is, "You're not worth the skin you're standing in." That's a direct quote. So it was a kitchen full of men, and she was doing it. So, but you said it is. She knew how to do it. So I want to say this evening, to come here with food, how many of you have tried native food before tonight? How many of you guys have tried native foods? And I'm not talking about Indian tacos. That doesn't count. Okay? I'm talking about real native foods.
No
all
fried
right?
bread.
No fried bread. Okay, good. So I want to let you know, these experiences, these are the things that we don't talk about in school, okay? I go around and I teach at culinary schools. I used to back in the day. They don't teach you this, okay? It has no bearing on what came from America. And as Cruz said, 60% of the world's food on its shelf right now was originated here in the Americas, okay? Most people don't know that. And they don't teach you that. There's no pride in that amongst our people, our growers. And I will tell you, there is a way to break people. And we're broken. Every one of us are broken. We live in an addictive society. So what I'm going to talk about real quick, and I know I always wait till the end because that's the important part, is I will give you a ton of knowledge in your head, and I want to take you home, and you'll only use it when your body tells you you need it, okay? When I go around and give my speeches, I talk about this from top to beginning. And tonight we're just going to touch the tip of the iceberg. So, when you start talking about foods in our cycles, I encourage you guys to go find this book. This came out last year. It's called Ruin Their Crops on the Ground, okay? This is exactly what I've been talking about when I started in my food journey over 35 years ago with these tribes across the United States. We are in a political war with our foods. You cannot, what you had tonight, cannot be served in restaurants. You guys ate illegally. And I'm looking around at you right now, and if I look at your eyes and you're shifty, I know who reported me. I'm just saying. But
Don't tell Samara.
but all this food here came from farmers. All this food here came from trade. A lot of this I had to trade for. You don't buy our foods, okay? It's not that way. We respect it in that good manner. So for me to tell you to go eat like this, it's non-existent, okay? And when I worked for the Senecas in New York, we opened up Allegheny. And for the first couple years of being open at Allegheny, Seneca Allegheny Casino, I ran their buffet, I ran their fine dining, I opened their fine dining. We used to have hunters bring bear and deer to the back of the casino. The hunters, that's their way of life, right? That's what they do. So someone caught wind that we were butchering bear and deer at the casino, we put it on the buffet, we make bear sausage, bear chili. We do all that kind of good food for showcasing what the Senecas ate, right? We got reported, okay? So within that opening session of that food, we told them we're sovereign nation. We can eat whatever we want. So they came back with the state of New York and said, the USDA says, if that food's not inspected, you don't have it on the tables. We said, go to the edge of the reserve and go jump in the river, okay? That's what we told them. This is native land. You're standing on native land, get off. So within a week, 300 U.S. What do you call it, guards, canvas, National Guard set on that highway into our casino and told people they were not allowed to eat in our restaurants. They sat there for 3 weeks while we were working. And until we cleared everything out of our shelves and the USDA came and inspected everything, we were not allowed to open our restaurants. Okay? So today, that was only 15 years ago. And today, I cook food like this for our children in our Head Start program in the Absentee Reservation. Getting our kids this food memory. And in 2 days, I was told, if we continue to serve this food, they're taking our government funding for our food programs. So that to me, to start thinking about hubs like this, where that food memory, that rematriation, bringing the mother back into the understanding of our way of life. And as I said prior, celebration of our mother, that she's now alive and giving us this food. I need the call of action for people to start changing policy. We're slow, we're moving very slowly. We got like a red number 15 ban last year. Out of everything, one red number 15, when we have so many other problems, okay? So what's happening with this food right here is I hope tonight You go home and you can feel it. And I hope these mothers, these three sisters, I hope they bless you in that good way. I hope they carry this strength with you through your heart, your mind, and your soul, ready to make these changes. And in here, it looks like everybody's healthy, so you have nothing to worry about, right? Nobody's taking meds. We are all affected by one thing or another with our food systems, okay? We've created a sick nation, and you guys know this. We've created sick nation, insurance nation, health nation, are spending so much money, more money on healthcare than we are war, okay? Because we are diagnosing and treating symptoms when preventative is right there. Food is medicine, and that's my movement. If I can't get this food into my children's mouth, and I have 2 children in the school system right now, and we're all victim of the school system syndrome. Ring the bell at 8 o'clock at breakfast, ring the bell at noon, it's time to eat again. While we're eating lunch, we ring the bell again, what are we gonna have for dinner? Overconsumption, our mother can't keep up with us. And this mass production of our food is so unhealthy. The stuff you guys read in your health books, the stuff your doctors prescribe you, if you actually took that stuff off the shelf and had it analyzed, you would see there's more chemical than nutrition in that food. And I'm not just talking about co-ops too. I'm saying they're doing their best. They're trying to do their best, but they have to meet criteria before they can get on that shelf for your consumption. So today, poisoning, addictive foods, and our current policies is creating what we have today as a nation. We're dependent upon our government, our insurance, and we're paying our hardworking money to go to these financing of these large corporations. Places like this, that's going to show that food memory. I go around and I talk about prenatal care with mothers. We have birthing mothers amongst our native people that can tell when a mother's sick or a mother needs something while that baby's at first heartbeat. What that mother puts right here is that baby's first food. And when that baby has no memory of food that was nutritious and good, that our bodies are genetically made for, then that baby has no chance in life. It's going to come out addicted already. And as these children grow in the society, our children here that are running around, they're eating this food daily. My children suffer at school. 2 years ago, right? We were in Sioux City, right? Was that Sioux City when the USDA came and did that session in Sioux City? So they asked me to prepare a meal, right? They said, "Oh, can we get Indian tacos?" I said, "Hell no, I'm not serving Indian tacos to the USDA. Lady, that only concretes and breaks down my efforts." So after she talked and she was doing that, I set up my food and she came over and goes, "Oh, you're that chef that I've heard so much about." And I said, "Oh, you're the one killing the children." I'm sorry, she was fair deal. But she was making changes to get our food recognized into our systems. And unfortunately, DEI was cut. Okay? So we have to start over. These policies that I talked about earlier, these advantages that we're having, these connections we're making, as soon as they start talking nonsense about cutting out pharmaceuticals, cutting out healthcare, and creating health and wellness, then they get cut. And the diabetes director 3 years ago told me at my speech, because I cured myself of diabetes, I say I'm a recovering diabetic, because this is the food I went to, from a 14.1 A1C down to a 6.9 in 90 days with this food. That was a change that they could not put meds on, they couldn't put exercise, they couldn't put the current diagnosis and treatment on, because I did it with our foods. My body recognized it. And so when I go around and tell people about diabetes 2 preventable, he came to my kitchen and he looked around like this, and he said, "Chef, what you said was true. I can't say that." He said, "In Washington, I have to talk about diabetes as a disease." And I said, "Do you know what you did to me?" I said, 18 years old, I was diagnosed as diabetic, and at the time when I was 18, because I was obese, because I was Native American, because I was, my family had diabetes, you put a death sentence on me. And you didn't tell me about this at 18. And for almost 30 years of my life, I went crazy. I ate whatever I wanted, I drank whatever I wanted, because I was on a death sentence. I was gonna die. Anyway, how many people were affected that way? How many of you were affected that way by hearing your diagnosis? How many know right now what you just ate tonight is your first journey into healing yourself? Autoimmune disease. It's all right there. Chemical sprays. You're under chemical warfare every day, no matter what you buy on these shelves. No matter what you buy on these store shelves, you're under chemical warfare. So I just want to leave you with that. We are in a recovery zone here. We are in a place where we can start getting that food memory reestablished. We've got to start making the actions with these young children to save their lives, so they're not dependent upon our current situation. We've got to break this cycle. And moving forward, this book here, ruin their crops on the ground. We're 250 years old in this nation as an American society, and we're sicker than ever. We're dependent. This is a good book to read, and also what they don't teach you in school is called the American Holocaust. Read that book. We advise people in our tribal college to understand that book. It's not just current policy in the Americas. It's how we came to this point from all over the country, Philippines, in these Spanish-driven countries. It's called the American Holocaust. Check it out. It'll tell you everything that you want to hear about. All these things that you've never heard in school before. So I'll leave you at that. My mission today from this point forward is to continue to give you illegal food until I am legal. You're right. Correct, except for when the National Guard sits at the station out there. These are gifts up here, and I want to say thank you again to our family. Raise your hand, please. Yeah, the shrubs. Thank you guys very much. These will go a long way. You wanted me and Sakalis to share, so that won't take long. So, oh, okay, very good, very good. Well, I appreciate these little gifts and the maple syrup too, Arbor. I do want to also acknowledge right here in your setting, right here, my name is Janana Stephen Roach. We have less than 1% out of 8,000 to 10,000 members of our Shawnee people that speak our language, and he's teaching it. He's revitalizing it. Believe in it, because our language not only is a word, it's feeling, it's emotion. And if you can't fully explain our language in the English language, there's not a translation for many of those words when it comes to feeling it and believing it and trusting it. So this is a living language. Also, Arbor, I want to say really quick this morning, if you can, please, because this is relevant, 215 years ago, this speech was given just right northeast of here. It takes about 3 minutes. Can you do it 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Arbor, this Tecumseh, my last name Warrior came off of the 1820s rolls with the Warrior son. And my name is Anthony Warrior. And Tecumseh was one of our united tribal chiefs here amongst our Shawnee people that tried to unify us during those battle of 1812 and those leagues. And he recited this morning, not even knowing I was here. So, Arbor, if you can, please let us know. And I want you to listen to the last 3 lines.
Yeah, come over here.
Yeah. So listen to the last bit, listen to the first bit, and I want you to understand, this is why we celebrate, this is why we believe the way we do. No pressure. You did a great job this week.
Thank you. Luckily, I've said this most of the days since 2010. So live your life that the fear of death may never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their views, and demand that they respect yours. Love your life. Perfect your life. Beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of your people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over the great divide. Always give a word or a sign of salute when meeting or passing a friend, even a stranger when in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason for giving thanks, the fault lies only in yourself. Abuse no one and no thing, for abuse turns the wise ones to fools and robs the spirit of its wisdom. When it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with the fear of death, who weep and pray for more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Sing your death song and die like a defender going home.
Oh, Yahweh.
Hi.
That's what this place is. This was started 215 years ago. And today, our nation is far from that. We are far from that. This was the warning, this was the speech that was given to the United States government as we were trying to get these allyships together. And today, that still resonates true in many of our hearts, in many areas of our lives. Get up in the morning and give that thanks, no matter what it is. Always give thanks. And it's food will always be given back to you. Our ancestors left this for us, and we gotta celebrate it. We gotta continue to live it. So that's all I gotta say tonight. And I say thank you once again. Yahweh is what we say. And Shawnee can live with. This is, I'm gonna turn it back over, but I want to say thank you for trying my food. If you didn't like it, I'll tell the chef.
Speaking of foods, Marie, you're supposed to say something.
So while I was listening to Anthony speak about our children, I just thought about as soon as our babies are born, we put them on formula. This is not to shame mothers if you're using formula or have used formula, because as mothers, we've been put in an impossible situation. So do what you gotta do, okay? And our bodies literally create perfect food for our children that actually changes according to their needs. There is actually a chemical interaction between the child's saliva and your breast, which will signal that it needs certain nutrients or more of this or less of that. It is literally, and then we're shamed for breastfeeding a lot of times. I was very lucky I was able to do that with my children. I did have to supplement with formula sometimes though. But I was lucky I was able to do that. And the bond was so strong that I could be way across town. And I would start like getting some tingles, and I'd be like, okay, I gotta go home. And then I'd get a call from Dad like, you gotta come home, and baby's crying in the background. I was like, I know. And I'm way across town. So like this amazing, our bodies are amazing, right? But we're put in a situation where we have to open a can and throw some junk in some water and mix it up and test your tap water, because we've got a nitrate problem in Iowa City. So just telling you that, guys, that. So yeah, that just came to mind when Anthony was speaking.
Thank you so much, Marie. What I want to say to, like, put one of the questions to conclude just like what happened here just now is, I put this panel together because I want people to see a picture of all the different things that can go into an urban resilience hub, you know, and why they are so important in these spaces. You know, 80% of our Indigenous people don't live on reserves anymore. BIPOC people, we are largely urban, and so like we have to be in these spaces in order to do that work. And then hopefully through this work we can start like an Indigenous land trust, which is our goal, and you know get, you know, it doesn't have to be 600 acres of land. It could be 5 acres of land to people to start their, you know, their own farms, living, you know, on the land, instead of like, you know, just in the concrete and confined spaces that are highly policed and very violent. So yeah, we're just going to pass it on to questions now. If anybody has questions or comments. Oh, yeah, well, I would, yeah, that's actually, Tamara, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, luckily, this has been really interesting to listen to and hear so many kind of like themes come up that have been resonant in the models of resilience hubs that have developed, especially, you know, this concept of food sovereignty and specifically the knowledge around being able to grow and access food. So I think, you know, I think about my grandmother who, you know, had a huge garden and grew a lot of her own food. And then I think about, you know, my upbringing with my mother, you know, who was a single mother at some point, and, you know, she remarried, was still quite busy, and, you know, just the amount of processed food that I, you know, consumed as a very young, very, very young child. And, you know, now in my own journey and growing my food, I have a personal goal to grow, forage, and trade all of my own food, which I recognize is, you know, at least a decade-long goal. because it feels like I'm in many ways recreating or refinding these systems that, that are these practices that have been lost in really just one generation within my family lineage, right? So it's just very, when I think about that kind of importance of this work, specifically tied to food sovereignty and education around food, it's something that feels very delicate in a lot of ways, and honestly, kind of has some similarities. And I work also with the Shawnee, the indigenous population in so-called Scandinavia, and their a lot of their food traditions tied to the reindeer, and thinking about kind of their own struggles within the Arctic, and this kind of push to restrict this indigenous practice of reindeer herding, and doing this through things like domestication, which can be quite sneaky in some parts of Scandinavia, where you'll actually have companies who walk the forest there, or companies who mine the grounds there, try to essentially provide free reindeer food, because they're trying to break this, again, this like ancestral practice within not only the animals, but the connection between the animals and the people there, by providing food, because it only takes one generation for reindeer to become domesticated. And once, because they follow their parents, right? They learn from their parents how to find food in the winter, right? And so just thinking about these similarities between, our own struggles individually and collectively as a species to stay connected to these, these natural processes of accessing food. And, I heard a lot of conversations about what that means for our physical health, diabetes, for example, our mental health. I heard Marie speak about, the therapy that you receive just from that simple action of connecting with the land, of planting, of watering, of weeding, of harvesting. And so it's just so beautiful to hear, these different perspectives from each of you, and think about how this physical site and this, again, this social network surrounding the resilience hub and supporting this development of this resilience and innovation hub, and what that means, how all of these pieces can happen in this site, in Iowa City, in this urban environment. And I just think, I'm getting chills just imagining all of the potential and all of the power that is here now and is to come. So thank you each. Thank you each of the panelists for being a part of that, Alice and others for leading that work.
Thank you, Julia. We have time still for questions and comments and things like that. Must be somebody with a question in the audience.
Including recipe questions.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, and that, the food is medicine, these conversations are medicine, it's just so, I moved here a year and a half ago, and it's just such a gift to get to experience this community that you're building, and it really is exactly the new, the world that we need, that this is a node of what needs to happen across the world.
I like to describe it as a petri dish.
Yeah.
So this is gonna, where we have a dot here, maybe another dot here is gonna show up, and all these circles are gonna grow and eventually cover everything. When you think about it, that's how Christian colonial capitalism spread, right? It spread, it was more like a wave of terror, rather than spreading in a circle. Westward expansion, and doctrine of discovery, all that stuff. But that's how it did spread, right? It spread like a virus. And I think that how we do that, how we do it, is we do the same thing. We spread. We have to spread. We have to build the spaces to do that. It can't just be online. We can't show up at a protest That's not doing shit. Come on, let's just be honest. It's great for certain things at certain times, but that's not actually the proactive move, right? So yeah, we thank you for noticing that. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need these to spread. I hope there's people in here that are inspired to do this in your community, and we'll teach you. Yeah.
I'm really interested in what you're talking about with the internal rematriation, the internal decolonization, and how hard that process is and how much it needs a community. So I guess I want to invite if you have any other suggestions or resources or direction for people that want to do that work. There will be offerings here at the hub, but for people who are from out of town or who want to just delve into that individually, what can that look like independently?
For me, mine was an identity and personal spiritual journey, but I guess like starting scholarly, Sherry Watt has the privileged identity exploration model, which is fantastic. That's Sherry Watt Privileged Identity Exploration Model, or PI. And I'm happy to share that. So if anybody wants it, I'm happy to email it to them. It just kind of talks about when you're met with information that creates a cognitive dissonance. There's naturally you're going to feel certain things like denial or deflection. So it kind of humanizes these feelings instead of creating this shame and doom spiral of I'm racist, or actually you're grappling with new information that you don't know. And it applies to all types of things. So I would say that is a good piece. And then understanding intersectionality is really important because we all have, I don't know if all, I feel like a lot of people have places of privilege, maybe class, for me, I'm an able-bodied, cisgendered, heterosexual woman. These are my places of privilege, right? And
That's even language sometimes.
oh, yes, oh my gosh, absolutely. I'm an English speaker, these things places of privilege for me. So intersectionality, it kind of helps us to, because I feel like in society we're white people bad, men bad, we've all got our stuff, we've got places of privilege, and so just kind of, I think those two things are some of my favorites of where I would start. And then just, general stuff, the earth teaches us that diversity is important. We don't have all grass everywhere. We have trees, we have birds, we have all types of different species of trees. It's natural to have diversity. That's nature, right? So I think I would stick with those two. I'm going to save my comment and stay appropriate.
I just want to add something onto that also. When you're talking about the building this community, right now, working for the tribal college, especially the TCUs, we're arming our young generations. We're giving them the knowledge, and we're giving them a lot of times that woke type of experience is sending them out the door with the knowledge, with the want to, but there's no community to support it or guide it. And so we're arming a really dangerous generation without the guidance of the community to come back and say, it's time to understand that we can have these thoughts, we can have these aggressions, we can express ourselves. But there is, like you said, we could go protest all day long about this. But we all know when people protest what happens, it turns us away. But when we're given that knowledge and that guidance from our community-driven, like traditional families, right? Then you can start arming and giving that knowledge as teachable moments instead of angry outburst moments. And that's what the college, we're indigenizing our curriculum now to understand that there is a new way of learning that takes out of the front of the book to the back of the book mentality, but we're actually adding the steps of how to handle that and how to issue resolution in a sense of what fits and is relevant in today's society. So I want you to know that there are strides being made, and as these TCUs are starting to lead the curriculum drive, other colleges, Iowa State, University of Nebraska, just to name a few, they're now coming around and seeing our models of how we educate. And it's just not about the old institution of merit, it's about ethical and teaching how to deal and how to take these into the next level. So the support system.
Okay, one last thing. I think it's important to evaluate when you have thoughts come up, where does this come from? Where is this coming from? And trying to understand, because you were taught stuff, right? So you have to unlearn things so you can learn new things. So really being self-aware and evaluating, I do this all the time, like where is this coming from? Is this a healthy thought? Is this something that's been planted in my mind? I'm talking to myself about it. So that's really important.
I saw a hand up, I think it was Lloyd.
You guys talked about indigenous foods, but can you speak up? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
sorry. You talked about indigenous foods, but also how they're illegal to eat here. Like, what are some reasonable things that can be done in a daily life to I don't know, rematriate your own personal life, but also treat yourself in a way that's traditional to the area.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, she wants to know how in our everyday daily lives, how we can take indigenous foods and start adding some kind of aspect.
Is it more than indigenous foods?
You have to join the clandestine. I mean, that's the question, no? It's because all these things are illegal, right? It's things that are illegal, right? They're kind of out of reach, so not everybody has access to illegal cranberries that taste like something you never tasted before. But what can you do in your daily, over-the-counter clandestinity, I would say. What is the over-the-counter clandestine?
Like networks.
Yeah, and stuff that you can do. Even if you want to, I would like to cook not, GMO stuff, but I gotta find it in fair way, right? We have the co-op there, but again, there's some limits to, and I think I wanted to add to this conversation it's becoming increasingly difficult to talk about this. We were talking to people that give grants, that write the grants in ISU. Right now, you cannot even use the word climate. It's not climate change, right? They ban women, female, barrier, barricade, protest, indigenous, black, brown, colors, and it becomes increasingly difficult to work with these machines because every word has been banned, So yeah, this may be, for Anthony, psychologists, Marie, what are the strategies of over-the-counter countering this in practical ways,
I just think you're here, so I think you're already giving yourself a good answer to your question. That's why this hub is here. It's to provide the networks and to create the networks to do that stuff. Now all y'all know Anthony, so hi.
That's our future lawmakers right
See,
there.
yeah, now y'all know Anthony. You know what Anthony, does. You know how Anthony cooks. So now you know who to connect with, in terms of the food. If you have questions like that, we have the garden here. We'll be building mutual aid cafes, things like that. That's how you do the work. You be a part of a community. I can't reinforce that enough. We win, we take them down by building the community. Period. And it's gotta be matriarchy, sorry. This is the way it's gotta be.
You have to join a matriarchal community.
Yeah, matriarchal community. It doesn't mean that men don't have power, just so you know that. It means that a mother always makes sure that everybody has a place at the table and food to eat and a place to sleep and they're safe. That's what that means.
So it's more like equality. But we definitely need more women's voices and female voices to be heard in order to get there. So, any other questions? Yes, Brenna. Oh, sorry. You go first.
So this is kind of like the last question, but I was wondering why that food would be considered illegal, or like, yeah.
Yeah, so today's commerce and capitalism that actually supports, I mean, we've disguised it all these years, and me being in food service for over 35 years, even along with my mother being in it, they disguise it by saying it's safe, right? It's safe. We want to make sure that people don't get sick, and there are some truth to that, but the other thing is, when it comes to oppression, when we're lobbying on the state Capitol Hill to get our food into the system, if we don't have the money to back it, and if we're not offering a subsidy, or we're not offering financial backing, our food doesn't make it. There's a reason why Hershey's, Kellogg's, all these big names are on your store shelves, because they financed this new political system. And for them to get their food there, that's exactly what's going on in today's society. So in general terms, if you have money and you can influence somebody's ear up on that Capitol Hill, they'll put your name on that list. It'll take you a while to get on there. But this food here, because they don't want us as communities to be self-resilient, to be self-sufficient. They don't want to have to worry about us helping people. Because building a sick nation is building a profitable nation. That's what it's about. If you can build a sick nation, then your leaders will be sick, then you will be sick, and then you can't really stand up for yourself anymore. So they break you in that sense in your body. Because right now, at your age, and my age, I didn't worry about it. But now that I'm older and I have children that are your age, I have to live now. And now it's important to me to understand why I have to go find these people, because that's the health. That's the profit. That's right there is the wealth. And that's the untapped wealth in today's society, is that food. If this here in Iowa City could be a food hub that built its food nation, you guys wouldn't rely on anybody. But then you couldn't open restaurants either because the government's not going to allow you to sell it. That's the problem. But if you gave it to people like it should be, food should be free. Food should be something that's a daily life where we shouldn't have to take half of our paycheck to pay for it and then pay for insurance to keep us healthy on top of it. That should be a right, along with healthy water. But today we've sterilized ourselves. We've become so resilient, or so reliant upon processed foods and convenience. And that's something you, as a young man, I'm planting these seeds with you, because one day you're going to make those decisions. And for you to stand up to ask that question, that's fantastic. I want you to keep that mentality, keep that thought process, because one day I'm going to call from my wheelchair and say, hey, you got that meal pass yet? And how far along are you going to get this food into it? Hopefully it won't take that long. But keep pushing. Keep eating that good food. Search for it.
I want to add something. Another example. Some of our friends. So the law is made by the powerful, right? So I have some friends that work in Mexico, and they build buildings for indigenous people, and the indigenous people have been building with the land, right? And they make adobe with the earth. And because they don't have lobbyists arguing to the people that make the law, the people that own the concrete companies and the steel companies and the glass companies have made adobe building illegal. So even if you've been building for thousands of years with some materials, because the law is controlled by the people that have access to money, right? The people that know with the food and with the materials, they cannot pass the law, right? So that we need also people that are working with law, right, in a way to make these things available. So it's not only about the accessibility of the food, but as Anthony said, it's who has access to the people that are passing all the system.
And if I was to come over here and put up a teepee here and live here, just off of the land, that's illegal. You can't be a vagrant in city policies in a lot of places. So there's no way I can just live off the land. They make policies for that.
So that's not only about food, it's about everything.
Everything, yeah, correct.
What's the most powerful thing in the world is the land. You guys are tired of hearing me say this, but it's the only real thing, right? And what comes from the land are food. So you control the land, you control the food. And then if you control the food, you control the people. So that's my Anthony's work and everybody's work, everybody in this room. That's why your work is so important. Right, okay, one last question is we're 5 minutes past. That was the best. Wow.
That's some of the most delicious. I think I would serve it to you because it was so good. I'm just going to give you all the vegetables and say, hey, this is but no, that fish was so good. It was not if you get quality on it. If you get quality on it, you'll know the taste, all right? I mean, that corn, you saw how big it is. On top of that, will hold you all day long. On top of that, will hold you all day long. There's so much protein, carbohydrate, just in that corn alone. And I was coming, half of this in your stomach. Why are you packing food every day? Why do they have you packing? Buffet time, right? Your stomach is half of it.
So, I think we can probably talk all night. I'm really good. I need to do this. And I wish I could go to your too on the TV and stories where and everybody else, I would love to hear more. I'd love to hear what the audience has to say. We're going to have to do lots more conversing. We're going to have to do the panels, the circles, I don't know, triangles. Stuff that, just we just got to get together. Everybody's going to be talking and communicating and trading and building and learning with each other. So that's the goal. This is just the first of, I hope thousands of other events that happen in this space. So thank you so much for coming today. Thank you to our panelists, to Marie, and to